And good morning, everybody. Good evening for this late night matchup here in Canada's Red Lock tournament. My name is It's Pigeon, and joining me in the casting booth, we have iFlame, and we're here to commentate this beautiful losers bracket matchup between Marwin and Azer. iFlame, how are we doing tonight?
We are definitely awake, so that's a good start, but it's an exciting matchup nonetheless. Marwin has had some good matches, but did finally drop to losers bracket against the first seed Rumindra just last week, and Azer dropped early on to Vesprit, but has been making a very strong losers bracket run, beating Anuo as well as Flat Paper on the way here, and put up a really strong performance last week. Had the third best individual score of any player in the tournament, and obviously one of the Canadian tournament greats, but obviously specializes in the hiddens especially. I think Marwin, we're going to have to see target some of the hard rocks, and those are the maps that Marwin has tended to have some better scores on.
Yeah, I agree. I do think we're going to see Marwin maybe potentially try to abuse some of the more mechanics stuff, as well as stuff like just tapping as well. I think something like the Nomad 2 potentially, because he's definitely, I think, more keen on maps like those. I've seen him picking into that kind of stuff more when the opponent, like he's the kind of player who likes to pick into what the opponent is weak at. And so I do think that we are going to see hard rocks, as well as maybe even a bit of like double time stuff too. But we'll see exactly where he wants to end up going with that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that's a really good angle for Marwin. And I think this is going to be one of those matches where both these players have their pretty distinct strengths. There's not too much overlap in their skill sets. So it's very possible we see a lot of points traded back and forth, at least early on in the match, and then we might see some break points later on. But both of these players tend to do pretty well on the maps they're good at, and have a bit of rougher time on the skill sets they're not as practiced on. I should mention Azer did get the top score on Hard Rock 4, so the Hard Rocks are not necessarily completely free for Marwin. We'll have to keep that in mind when picking, but this is a much harder pool, so we'll see who that favors.
I'm just trying to see the results from previous week here. Is it Marwin versus Rip Me to Shreds and Azer versus Flat Paper? Or no, that was the week prior.
Yeah, that was round 16. Last week, it was Marwin versus Rumindra, lost 6-2 against the 1 seed, and Azer did beat Flat Paper 6-4 last week.
Right.
Yeah, so it's certainly not been... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was going to say, Azer's match went pretty deep into that one, if I remember correctly. It almost went to the tiebreaker. So we got to see a lot of all the different skill sets that had to be tested in order for him to get that point, or that victory.
Yeah, I mean, Azer had the third best average score of anybody in the tournament. Flat Paper was 5th overall, so that was definitely a very high-level matchup between two very good players. You could certainly see either of them making it to the finals, but while Marwin had a little bit of a tougher time, has just now dropped down to the losers bracket, so it's certainly been stronger in the previous weeks, and we'll want to see that form regained for this matchup. Azer playing the warm-up, of course, on that comfort hidden mod.
Yeah, gonna just be a little bit longer in this one, and then I believe it was Azer said something about there being an MP3 change on the previous warm-up, so they had that one aborted. So if Marwin chooses to, he still has his warm-up if he wants to do that.
Oh no. Solid accuracy from Azer on this warm-up. 94%. This is not an easy map by any means. We'll see if we got a second warm-up here. And we have had a couple of upsets earlier today, at least based on seed. Repersian, the 8th seed, took out Pink Eye Fan for the 4th seed, and Zex, seed 12, took out Fireblaze at seed 6. So higher seed has yet to win a match so far in the semifinals.
Yeah, it's interesting. I do think that this one is going to be one of the closer matches for this weekend, at least in the losers bracket. If we're going off seeding wise, but in terms of like actual player strengths and weaknesses, I think these two players don't really have too many overlaps. And I do expect this one to be a lot of back and forth here, but we are getting underway with the picks and bans. It is already, I think it was like a 40 roll for Marwin or something. Azer rolled a 95, so he's going to be able to get that one pretty handily, and opting for the second pick as well, and second ban for Marwin.
There you go. That's that tournament experience right there. Rolling the 90, just absolute veteran presence. But, you know, Azer's Cat doing its best to keep this match a close one. As we do get into some bans, it's going to be Nomon 2, GT3 for Azer. So, like you mentioned earlier, Lily, does want to ban out that tapping. And, of course, Marwin bans out the HD2, no mod 6. I mean, trying to play any sort of reading into Azer would be an absolute mistake. And so I think both players with the smart and expected bans here. And we do see DT3 second ban. Now we're just waiting for the first pick from Marwin. It does still have a lot of tapping left open in this pool. Between the Hard Rocks and DTs. Could be a lot of good options for Marwin.
Yeah, I'm also thinking... what was I gonna say? Oh, stuff like the DT1 I know has been pretty popular this weekend, with it being a relatively straightforward map. I do expect this one to get picked by Marwin relatively short into this match, but Hard Rock 3 is going to be the choice.
Yeah, it's going to be 191 BPM Hard Rock stream map, and apparently Marwin's most inconsistent map. It's an interesting strategy to get the sketchier maps out of the way early, but not necessarily a bad choice. It's certainly not a map I don't think Azer would have ended up picking, so there's probably not all that much value on leaving that till the end.
Calm beginning section on this one. It does go right into the streams though, and Azer did find a pretty hefty chain miss and a couple more mistakes after that, so it's already looking for a pretty good lead here for Marwin. Probably 60,000 points.
Yep, plenty of time left in the map though for Azer to recover. Now the accuracy, slightly concerning. Marwin definitely the much more comfortable player on the map. The inconsistencies for Marwin that they mentioned at the start of this map, certainly not shown so far, as they're looking really, really solid, but still the hardest parts of this map yet to come, but nails that stream as well, and Marwin continues to hold up this combo, finally finds the break now. Azer has a chance to strike back, has recovered the accuracy, it's up to 400 combo now, and this score lead should slowly go over if Azer can hold on.
Yeah, just needs to hold on to that combo. Marwin finds a pretty massive chain miss here as well, so that's going to help further that score gain for Azer. Well, it still hasn't flipped over just yet, but now with a little bit of free combo, it most certainly will.
In the second half, this map doesn't get any easier. There are plenty of places for Azer to miss, but it also means Marwin is going to have a lot of pressure, and it's going to be really tough to hold on through the rest of this map, but that's going to be the case. There's the miss from Azer. Marwin now has a chance, but needs to hold on through these wiggle patterns. These sections just get even more space, but Azer, another big chain miss. That squirrely goes right back over to Marwin, who's now comfortably in a 50,000 point lead and has a chance to secure this first pick.
Marwin is just hitting these streams like they're nothing. It's so impressive to see him be able to pull this one off. You see Azer struggling a little bit here. Marwin does finally end up dropping the combo, but so much damage has already been done. Yeah, first point on the board. Very nicely done for Marwin.
Yeah, and there could still go back over in theory. Marwin should be in the clear because the rest of this map is relatively easy, and so it is going to be that first point on the board for Marwin, and the hard rock, the tap-in, working out incredibly well.
I expect Azer's probably going to go somewhere into the hidden pool. It's his bread and butter mod, but as far as the hard rock goes, I mean, you said it earlier, he put up some pretty impressive hard rock scores in his match last weekend. And again, he was keeping it within pretty close distance for Marwin, actually getting that score lead at one point, but no, it's not going to be into the hiddens just yet. We're going into the no mods here with no mod 5.
Yeah, and I do honestly like the no mods from Azer. I mean, last week got some of the best scores in the tournament on no mods 1, 3, and 4, and so this is a very different style. It's a little bit more rhythmic. That's something that really fits Azer's skill set, and based on the chat message, feels like a pretty good pick.
Yeah, I mean, when your opponent is a little bit worried about it, might be a nice pick for you, but I mean, this is Azer's first pick. You have to expect he's pretty confident on it.
Certainly, Sam. This is one of those maps that the accuracy likely to make a pretty big difference on, as Azer off to a strong start, and Marwin are going to find the first slider break there, dropping some early combo, but plenty of map left to be played. It's going to be 3 minutes in length, and so there is more than enough time for Marwin to bring this one back, but has to stay strong, has to recover, and just has to stay steady and hope for a miss from Azer.
Accuracy is actually really good for both players. It's pretty much evened out at this point, so if Azer is to find a miss, then Marwin is going to be right there ready for it, but again, has to continue to hold on to the combo as well. But not going to do so, does end up dropping that combo at a very opportune time, and Azer's continuing to hold on to the full combo.
Yeah, that second miss from Marwin, make it 3 misses now, are going to hurt a whole lot more because Azer showing no signs of slowing down, built up now to that 600 combo mark, and even though we're only a third of the way to the map, that's where there's almost up to 100,000 points, and on a map like this, that can be pretty tough to make up. I'd say this map is somewhat consistent, but Azer does finally find the miss. A nice score buffer to work with, though, so Marwin, I think 200 combo, not going to even hold on to that lead, though, and now it's going to be pretty even combos, and Azer with a pretty massive lead.
Azer holding on to about 100,000 points in his favor right now. Both players are trading out, misses here or there, so it's not going to be moving too much further the way of Azer, thankfully for Marwin's sake, but I mean, Marwin is struggling to hold on to the combo in this section. He's just finding so many misses back-to-back on this incredibly spaced out patterns that just keep getting more and more difficult. But Azer is also still making a couple of mistakes, but look at that accuracy difference, iFlame. It's 99% almost to 95, and it's doing a lot of work here in the score.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, despite continued misses from both players, Azer's grown that score lead by about 50,000 points, and it really does come down to that accuracy, as well as having consistently just slightly higher combo. And I think that final miss from Marwin is going to seal it. Azer building up to 300 combo once again, finds the miss there, but I think it's going to be just not enough for Marwin, as Azer going to tie things up 1-1 and finding a very strong first pick.
Yep. Doing good to answer back here is Azer. Relatively dominant passion, about 200,000 points I think when all is going to be said and done. Bar, a massive chain miss or two, but still pretty solid first pick, and I do actually really like this one as a first pick. I was thinking he'd probably go down more the route of the hiddens, but no, this No Mod 5 is so Azer pilled.
Certainly is. Marwin? is going to have the next pick, though. And it'll be interesting to see whether Marwin opts to go for more tapping focused picks with something like the DTs, or if Marwin wants to stick with the hard rocks.
You know what's interesting is I did notice the hidden 3 pick is gonna be image material, and that is open. So that might be picked as well along the line.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Although that is a bit more burst heavy, with a lot more focus on some aim patterns in that one. But yeah, it is going to be the DT1. This has been a pretty heavily picked map, and I think every single match so far, if not almost every single match so far this weekend. So it's just a very normal DT1 style map from times of old. I think like this was a very popular map back in like 2015, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, definitely was. I mean, this song has tons of map sets, but yeah, this was submitted, looks like, back in 2015, so you were right on the nail.
I remember playing this one when I was brand new, not with double time. Most certainly not with double time, but
yeah, it'd be a little tough, as we're about to find out. AR 10.5 going to be the big challenge on this one, along with the aim requirement, of course. And this is the shortest map we've played so far this match. Only going to be 2 minutes in length, so these early misses are going to matter a fair bit.
First Ki, and that's going to be Azer first to fall as well. Yeah, that AR 10.5 definitely plays a pretty big factor here on some of these mistakes that we're seeing here. So far, it's just been Azer. Marwin is holding through that beginning Ki section with the combos still, as well as a pretty sizable accuracy lead. Azer was not only dropping the misses, but he was also dropping a lot of accuracy here, getting a bunch of 50s and 100s. So far, it's 200,000 points, 250,000 actually, and just continuing to climb the further Marwin holds his combo.
Yeah, this one feels pretty over, even though we're only halfway through the map. Azer not having a super good time with the AR 10.5, and it's not really holding Marwin up so much. Back in the next Ki, we'll see what kind of a score Marwin can put up this map, as only a third of the way to go.
Just a little bit left remaining in this map, and Marwin does end up dropping that combo. But 600,000 to 130,000, I think it's pretty safe to say this is going to be a second point for Marwin.
I think Azer already going to start thinking about that next pick. Certainly has a lot of options. We'll see how the last Ki goes here. We'll see if Marwin can pull through for a good score. It does find the miss at the end.
Yeah, and a pretty impressive score here. This is going to be the biggest gap that we've seen so far out of any pick, and a really nice pick as well. If you're able to make somebody like Azer struggle on a pick, then you know that it's a good one. So really solid performance from Marwin. Just the 3 miss, and a pretty nice score to boot.
Yep. This point, oh yeah, especially No Mod 3, one of those maps that Azer looked so incredibly strong on last week, had the second best score overall, and is so good at these alt picks. I mean, this one is 160 BPM, 3 minutes in length. And this one was actually a custom for some tournament or other. Don't ask me which one.
I knew this earlier today.
OWC 2023 custom.
There we go. Yeah, AJ Mosca map set as well. Also, just a banger song.
It really is.
Enjoy Sell It. Don't know Lily, but It's a good artist, and I think a good pick for Azer.
Yeah, I think Lily did Scarlet Rose, which is a classic.
That would make sense.
They are somewhat similar stylistic songs. But here we go into the No Mod 3, as Marwin was off to a pretty good start, but does find that early slider break, and Azer is going to be off to the early advantage. Now, because this map is a little bit longer, early misses aren't going to matter so much, but Marwin does drop quite a lot of accuracy. You can see just how snappy this alt pick is, something that Azer has been really, really good at, but plenty of time for Marwin to bring this one back.
Yeah, so many of these little back and forth wiggles sections with these stacked doubles into a slider. It's very easy to just miss aim either the stack or the slider head and then just find a couple of misses here or there. So Marwin is doing good on the recovery, but Azer is looking so locked in on this pick. Although as I say that, goodness, Azer does end up dropping that combo.
Yeah, Marwin, pretty sizable combo now, has done a good job of recovering the accuracy. And this is a slightly easier section. Here we go into the next Ki. This is where we expect to see quite a few misses. There's going to be a massive chain miss from Azer. Marwin doing a good job keeping up. That score lead should flip back over any second now. Hits that pattern as well. Finally finds the slider break, but has at least done enough to even things up. And now it is anyone's game.
Yeah, anyone's game. We're within 5,000 points of each other going into the halfway mark. Combos have reset. Accuracy is relatively even. It's a slight advantage for Azer, but Marwin is going to be finding a couple more mistakes here. In this more difficult section right before the break, they do see just how close it is if they don't have the leaderboard on already. And yeah, they're keeping it relatively interesting on this pick.
And they're on the hardest part of this map yet to come. It is all going to come down to last Ki. Definitely a little bit of advantage for Azer having the bigger combo in this slightly easier section. Does mean that Azer should have a decent advantage going to the Ki, but that could very well be tough to hold on to as these patterns already start to get harder. But both players nailing them right now. Marwin finds a really big miss. If Azer can hold on just a little bit longer, should be able to secure this No Mod 3, but the hardest part is coming up in just a moment's time.
Yeah, 70,000 points is a little bit of a cushion here for Azer, but he does have to hold still just a little bit longer in order to secure this point. As you said, he does end up dropping combo, but right when he hit about 100,000 points in the lead, now it's on the back of Marwin, has to pretty much full combo the entire rest of the map, and even then it might not be enough. We still need more misses from Azer, which we are seeing a couple more, but will Marwin be able to get this one done? No.
Azer breathing a sigh of relief as this match will be tied up 2-2. Yet to see a break point, but Marwin will have the next pick and feels like still has quite a few good options left open. And I feel like this is one of those matches where at least for a couple more maps we probably won't see all that many breakpoints, if any.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I do kind of expect both of these players to be picking a majority of their maps are going to be ones that they should on paper be winning as well. And so far, I mean, it's been relatively close for every map except for the DT1. That was kind of a landslide victory for Marwin, but every other map so far I think has been within 100,000 points or so. So keeping it very competitive here, both of these players.
Yeah, they certainly are. And I mean, yeah, there's the HD3 that you mentioned. It is hidden, but it is 260 BPM, which I think is a little bit fast for Azer. I don't know Marwin well enough to know whether Marwin can play 260 BPM. I'm sure somebody in the chat can tell us, but evidently feels more confident than Azer on the pick.
Yeah, I think this is doable for Marwin because the bursts themselves aren't that long. I think the longest burst is like 16 to 20 notes, something like that. But I mean, still, when you're talking about 260 BPM, like that's still pretty fast. You do have to also be weary of your aim on all the non-burst sections, which there's a lot more of that than there are actual bursts in the map. And some, particularly notable sections that I think a lot of people remember. I think most people know this map in particular. It's a very iconic map. But
It is.
yeah, it's a banger, and I am pretty excited to see Marwin picking Hidden into Azer.
Yeah, now I do think it's going to be very telling very quickly how these players feel on the 260 BPM bursts, as the map has the quite slow build up during the intro, but there are some pretty tricky bursts fairly early on in the map that I think are going to tell a bit of a story and give us a good idea of what to expect for the rest of the map to become. It is a very long one. So there will be plenty of time for comebacks, but also plenty of time for one player to just absolutely run away with this one if either player is not comfortable on these bursts.
Yeah, a little chill intro, and we're right into things. It's a lot of this pretty much alt-heavy mapping, which I think both players are pretty happy with, but we do see a very early mistake from Azer, not on the bursts, as I was talking about. It is very easy to just find random misses on the in-between sections, just especially considering it is with Hidden, although Azer should be relatively fine, but I do think that miss was kind of a mistake here, just a little fluke.
Yeah, neither player so far having too much trouble with the burst. We do get our first longer burst. Azer getting some 50s, but does manage to hold on. That's really all that you need. You're just going to have to be patient, wait for a miss. Don't worry too much about the accuracy as long as you keep things relatively close. Azer dropping some more accuracy on that one, but managing to hold on. Marwin is looking a lot more comfortable on these bursts. Does seem to be a good pick so far, but Azer is keeping things close and ready to pounce if Marwin makes any mistakes on this pick. But we've still got 4 minutes of this map left to go. Long stream, Azer hits it yet again. It continues to drop accuracy further and further behind Marwin, but as long as the combo is there, this one will be comebackable.
Yeah, Azer is right on Marwin's heels, actually. The combo is there if Marwin is to find a mistake. Now, there are a couple more longer streams for a little bit of a slow down pause section. You do have to be able to hit those, and as well as this pattern's not as hard as it seems, but still definitely missable. But both players are still holding on to their combo, and Marwin's still on the FC.
Yeah, and this very well could just come down to that long stream as both players are continuing to hold. I mean, we could very well see misses on some of the alt patterns as well. Marwin is single tapping them, which is not easy to do on a map like this one, but it's clearly working out as Azer, again, dropping accuracy on the streams, but not missing, and that's going to be the key. If Azer can somehow hit the long stream a little bit farther into the map, then could definitely still take this one. I mean, with the amount of note density, Azer holds on yet again, continues to keep himself in this match, and 100,000 points with how dense of a map this is. Marwin finds a miss on the alt pattern. Azer is right back in this one, and the score lead should go back over so quickly. The combos are massive.
1200 combo right now, but these are some of the hardest sections outside of the stream sections. Both players are hitting the triangles. Marwin missed on, I think, a pentagon pattern, and Marwin finding another chain miss is not going to be helping his case. They hit the back and forth. Azer hits the burst, and now we're into the slow section. It's about 100 combos worth of free combo. You cannot miss on this section, and then it goes right into the shred solo section. It's very jarring if you're not ready for it. I think both of these players are very familiar with this map, though. And so it will just come down to whether or not Azer can hold through that section for long enough, because he has such a sizable combo advantage that it'll very quickly shift the score back towards Azer despite being down about 4% accuracy.
Yeah, but does still need to hold on. Hasn't made up that combo yet, and obviously this is the toughest section coming up. Marwin finds another miss. That score lead continues to shrink. It does flip back over in favor of Azer, but here we go into the really heavy burst section. Azer does find the drop, 20,000 points in the lead, and this one could go either way. Marwin definitely having a better time on these stream section, but continues to find misses on this alt sections. And once again, we have an incredibly close map on our hands.
Yeah, and I wonder if a lot of these misses from Marwin are actually stemming from the fact that he is single tapping it all. I mean, he's definitely got a lot of stamina, but the single tapping in this map definitely has a little bit of an issue the further it goes. It's a 6.5 minute map. If you're trying to single tap 260 BPM, you can definitely run out of stamina, but Marwin has gotten that score lead back over. It's 15,000 now and climbing a bit more. These accuracy drops from Azer are definitely hurting his case, but if Marwin finds a couple mistakes, then Azer could be back into this, but Azer is finding a couple mistakes of his own.
Yeah, that's a really big chain miss from Azer, and that might very well seal it. Now that the kind of alt patterns have settled down a little bit and the map is a lot more bursty, Marwin has really gotten back into the rhythm of this map and is absolutely nailing it with these bursts. Azer, unfortunately, running out of stamina towards the end, has definitely put up a valiant fight on a map that I didn't necessarily expect him to be able to keep up on, but you know, it's showing that he's definitely a threat on these kinds of picks. But Marwin will be up 3-2, and Azer has the next pick.
Next pick indeed for Azer. You still have some tech if he wants to go that route. I know that Nomad 4 is probably a little enticing to him, although it is that very different style of tech than I think the kind of Azer is most known for. It's going to be heavy slider tech on that one. But yeah, still, I mean, look, we're picking 260 BPM burst stream map. Image material, it's like complete aura farming here for Marwin, and Azer is keeping it relatively close on this pick.
What a fun and interactive map. Very true.
Yeah, I was keeping an eye out to see if either player, more likely it was going to be Azer, but I was trying to pay attention to the taps from both players to see if one of them did end up double tapping anywhere, and from just what I was seeing, it didn't appear to be so, but maybe Azer was actually kind of double tapping.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure Azer was definitely double tapping.
Was he?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. It's going to be the HD4 though, and this one is kind of a banger. Shadow Castle, 175 BPM, bit more of an aim control focus pick, and I mean, this is Azer's bread and butter, it feels like, and that's why I think Marwin is going to have a bit of a tougher time on.
Yeah, this one is a lot of wiggle cut streams. I think it's like the best way that I can describe it. Just a lot of micro movement and a lot of adjustments that you have to make on your cursor to be able to hit a lot of these cut streams. And it's pretty much the whole map. I mean, it gets pretty spaced out, and I think it speeds up a little bit towards the end, if I remember correctly. I'm not actually certain on that one. Don't quote me on it.
Marwin dropping some early accuracy, but I was about to say is reading the patterns, does find a really big misreads that pattern there. We'll see if Marwin can kind of settle into this map and get caught up, but really struggling early on. Azer having no problems whatsoever. I mean, Azer is just truly the Canadian hidden goat. I mean, Marwin is having a tough time keeping up here, understandably, and Azer's still at 99% accuracy.
Yeah, I mean, this map is mean without hidden, let alone adding the mod on top of it makes it particularly nasty to play. Marwin struggling reasonably so here on this beginning section, but maybe we'll get a little bit of warm-up to kind of get comfortable with this map. But yeah, it's looking, I hate calling it like even this early on, but it's looking like Azer is going to get this point.
Yeah, I think that's probably a pretty safe call. I mean, Marwin is just having a bad time. And Azer, 99.76 on a map like this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, this is what Azer does, right? On this kind of map, he just he is able to dissect it and make it look so easy when it is not. This is probably one of the more challenging maps in the hidden pool. I know we just saw the 6.5-minute tiebreaker image material, but Azer does finally drop a little bit of accuracy, but I mean, he's still holding on to the combo. Like, what are we doing here?
We are popping off, apparently. As I mean, the map has been over for ages, but I mean, you just have to watch and not this score from Azer. We'll see how much longer Azer can hold for. There are, I don't know, there are very few hidden FCs on this map. I think there might just be 2.
Oh, poor Marwin. It's so sad when you're forced to play a map that like you very much so cannot and probably do not want to play, and you are the tourney client 1.
Oh, yeah, definitely the most dominant performance we've seen so far this match, but overall, this is never a map Marwin expected to win and has still won all of their own picks, so it's going to keep things tied up 3-3. And with a 1,300 combo, I believe, I mean, Azer would definitely be up there on the hidden only leaderboard, somewhere in the top 20.
Let's see, 1360. I can do a quick check. 1360 combo would have put him right around top 12, top 13.
Yeah,
there are 3 hidden FCs: Kriller, worst Hard Rock player, and Nathan Ram. Or excuse me, wait, yeah, no.
No,
Kriller and worst Hard Rock player. Just Kriller and worst Hard Rock player, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think Marwin is not going to feel too bad about that one. That's the kind of thing you just kind of laugh and move on to your next pick. We've got the Hard Rock 1 Tsunami up next. I assume this is the Hard Rock aim pick.
Very much so. That is pretty much all this map is. It's a lot of big jumps. There's like 2-note stacks separating a lot of the jumps, and the spacing gets pretty massive in this one.
Apparently another OWC custom.
Yeah, this one I could see actually going the way of Azer, because all there is in this map is aim. It is just Hard Rock aim.
Yeah, Azer has looked very good on the aim, but I mean Marwin's been good on the Hard Rock, so there's going to be that balance for sure. But yeah, this definitely feels like the part of the match where the picks do start to get a tiny bit closer potentially. I still think Marwin is probably slightly favored on this one, but you know, it's not overwhelmingly favored. It's the kind of thing where Azer, with a good run on the map, could definitely take a break point here. We'll see if that ends up being the case. This one, 3 minutes in length. So going to be testing that consistency a little bit. And here we go into the Hard Rock 1.
Yeah, you can kind of figure out what this one's all about just off that beginning. It's just these big, massive jumps. The spacing between the jumps do progressively get more difficult as the map goes on, but yeah, it's a lot of like start and stops. That's an interesting trade here for these 2 players. I wasn't expecting a break from Marwin, and then I saw Azer drop right after that. So yeah, both players do end up trading. Gonna keep things pretty even.
Yeah, I mean, Azer saw Marwin miss on air and, you know, just wanted to keep things even. Marwin does find another miss, though. Azer not going to be trading this one back, though. It's not quite that generous.
You can't give too many handouts.
No, exactly. It's going to be another trade of misses, but Azer has built up a little bit of a lead. Not much though, 20,000 points. Could easily go back the other way, especially with that miss from Azer, but yet again Marwin trades in. So far it's just been consistent trades between these 2 players. Nobody really been able to build up too much of an advantage, although Azer is slowly working towards that break point.
Yeah, very, very minor score advantage here for Azer. It's about 30,000 points. But half of the map is done now, and we are going to get into the second half of the map that we're going to see a lot more square patterns. I think are pretty easy to find mistakes on, but this is another difficult section here, the build-up. Yeah, and both players do trade on that.
Yeah, and if all else remains the same, this, 30,000 point score lead is just continuing to grow ever so slowly for Azer, and sometimes that's really all you need. Azer does find a miss, though. The question is, will Marwin trade it back like we've seen so many times before? Is up to 115 combo, but that's not quite enough to bring it back. I think it needs to get up to that 200 combo mark to really bring this score lead back over. But these are some tough jumps coming up. Azer finds another miss again. There's the trade from Marwin. I mean, brought the score lead down by about 10,000, but it's just not enough. We're going to need to see some chain misses in the ending by Azer. There's one, but we need to see a few more.
Only 20,000 points is separating these two players right now, and Marwin finds the break, so that's not going to be helping their case. Here's the big squares I was talking about, and Azer's going to be missing pretty heavily here, actually. That's going to send the score back the way of Marwin now as the combo is building up, but getting into the last few nodes of the map, Marwin misses and Azer trades. I think this one is going to be a breakpoint for Azer.
Yeah, our first breakpoint of the match, and Azer now with a chance to pull away from this one. Feels like Azer still has quite a few picks left in this pool. I mean, you still have the Nomad A map that Azer has looked so good on. You've got the Nomad Tech map that Azer has looked really strong on previous weeks. And I believe you have the hidden one as well. That feels like it could be a solid pick for Azer. So lots of good options still left open that should definitely be more favored.
Yeah, I mean, exactly as you said, I do like the prospects for Azer's next pick here to try to consolidate on this breakpoint that has been given to him. And if he is able to do so, he will go to match point, and Marwin essentially has to win the next two picks in a row in order to take it to tiebreaker. And that's a pretty scary spot to be against the likes of a tournament veteran such as Azer. But I mean, we're talking about the future here. It's very possible Marwin could get a breakpoint back off of Azer's next pick, just considering how almost every single one of Azer's picks Marwin has kept it relatively close.
Nope. No mod for Anti-Gravity Zone. This one, another absolute banger, and another map that Azer top scored last week, getting the best X score by about 300,000 points, put up nearly 800k. Second best score was a Wandario with 500,000 points. So Azer was pretty dominant on last week's No Mod Tech pick, and looking to be once again on the semifinals No Mod 4.
Yeah, I mean, this is
hopes for 150k. Oh no.
Exactly. That's my thoughts on this one. And realistically, we probably won't see I mean, all right, I'm gonna say this, and it's probably gonna backfire, but I'm gonna say we're not gonna see any player go above 500k on this map, because the first like 2/3 of the map is more or less a consistency check on like tech consistency, if you could even call it that. And then the last third of the map is just like straight up ridiculousness. Like if you're comboing in the last third of the map, you are doing God's work.
Yep, Marwin off to a fantastic start though. Already nearly a third of the way towards their goal of 150k. So, absolutely popping off. But Azer right up there as well.
Yeah, and that's not to say the beginning 2/3 of this map are a walk in the park, because it's not like it's all free combo. It's still going to be pretty difficult, but that last part of the map is going to be one of the hardest sections. So we are seeing the hardest section that we've seen so far in this one. Marwin is going to be first to fall. I think it was a slider break from him as well, so very unfortunate spot to be dropping your combo.
Yeah, and Azer getting really up there now. The combo builds up in this map so incredibly quickly, and accuracy is pretty even for both players as well. Marwin gonna need to find a recovery, but does find yet another miss, and Azer is gonna continue to pull away. This is a pretty tough section of the map here, but Azer showing no signs of slowing down, and looking to bring himself to match point.
Yeah, about half of the map remaining. And again, this is, I mean, you can call it what it is, but for the most part, this is going to be one of the easier sections of the map. And the fact that Azer is still holding on to the combo, extending the score lead, it's going to be so hard for Marwin to be able to get this one back.
Yeah, I mean, we do have the tricky ending coming up, and that means it's going to be nearly impossible, like you said, for Marwin to recover that combo, but I guess the only hope is that Azer finds a whole lot of chain misses on the ending, but Marwin is just running out of time so quickly. 220,000 points is a lot to make up, but here comes the hardest part of the map. We'll see if Azer finds the big chain misses that Marwin needs, and if Marwin can hold. I think any miss from Marwin at this point will be the end, at least for this map. Azer does finally find the miss, but it's traded back by Marwin, and that's going to be another point on the board for Azer. Now going to be on match point, and I mean, honestly, the 550, 600k on a map like this is still a very strong score. Still better than anybody else's score on last week's Snowpod 4, which is funny, because in theory, the tech map should be getting harder, but Azer's just been popping off on tech.
Yeah, I mean, Azer's making me eat my own words, right? I said I didn't think there was going to be a score above 500k. Azer is about to crest the 600k mark here in the end of this map. And yeah, a pretty dominating score to put into match point. And a pretty tough spot again for Marwin to be at. Luckily for Marwin, he does get the next pick, but he is kind of up to whatever Azer chooses for the final pick if Marwin is to win his next pick here.
Marwin did hit the impossible pattern, which was very cool. Yeah, didn't help with the overall map, but it's always such a good feeling to hit that one impossible pattern. I'm not sure. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say he doubled his score that he had prospected
That's
for.
true. You know, it's all about setting your own goals, and those goals have been achieved, so you can feel pretty good about that score. I don't know where you go from here, though. Could we see something like a DT2 or a Hard Rock 4 potentially? Those are my best guesses, but it's not entirely clear for Marwin at this point.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure what Marwin's last pick is going to be.
DT4.
4. Interesting. Is this the
This is the CS 7.6 map.
Yes. Okay. I was gonna say I remember playing this in No Mod and USC. I think 2 years back, maybe. But 1 or 2 years. I can't remember when this came out.
You know, Marwin definitely going out with a bang. As apparently we got to make sure our hit sounds are on.
It's a pretty great map, honestly. I do really enjoy the aesthetics of this map.
But do
it's
you
very
enjoy the
chill.
silence?
If I speak, is that hurting the silence?
I don't know. This is
I
a
do
deep
enjoy it. I think
philosophical
this one's
question.
very good.
Oh, they are on. The hit sounds do go hard.
Yeah, precision in the double time pool definitely can make for a very interesting match here. Marwin going to be the first one to find a couple of mistakes, but it's so easy to find mistakes when the CS is 7.6. Azer is going to be holding through the beginning section so far with combo and accuracy as well, so not the greatest of starts for Marwin.
Nope. But still plenty of match to be played. Still plenty of silence to enjoy. Azer finally finds the miss. Marwin has a chance to bring this one back now, but immediately follows it up with a miss of their own, and it's going to be down quite a bit of accuracy as well. Going to make this one difficult to bring back.
Azer is actually doing such a good job at maintaining his accuracy here on the CT4. I wasn't expecting him to have such a dominating accuracy advantage over Marwin, but he is doing pretty solid so far with the recovery. Marwin going to be finding a couple more mistakes going into the next PI section. But it's just so easy to find these mistakes when the CS is as small as it is.
Yeah, another miss from Marwin, and there is half a map to go, but unless we see a miss from Azer in the next 50 combo, that very well could spell the end of Marwin's time in Redlock.
Yeah, this is not feeling too great for Marwin. That is a miss from Azer. There's still about a third of the map remaining. If Marwin is able to lock in for the remainder of the map, Azer finds a couple more mistakes. There's definitely more than enough time for Marwin to be able to get this one, but it's going to be close.
Yep, there's another miss from Azer. Could just be what Marwin needs, but it's definitely a tall order to bring this one back. I have to say, though, whatever happens in this map is, oh, there it is for Marwin. I think that's going to be it. But you got to respect the DT4 pick. Definitely could have just gone for the DT2. Probably would have been easier, but would not have been nearly as much of a banger.
Yeah, the DT2 pick is a little bit of a question mark. I think Marwin would have rather picked this over that because the DT2 is just so hard to be consistent at. It's just so much finger control, but I mean, still, this is a pretty fine score from Marwin. I think it's going to be about 300k at the end of it all, but Azer just putting up 500k is just above and beyond insane performance from him, I think, so far in this match. As well as in the tournament, Azer's really been stepping up a lot. As he said, he's been getting consistent, like, top scores on multiple different maps, but yeah, that's going to do it. 6-3 when all is said and done.
Yeah, very well played to Marwin, whose tournament run will unfortunately end here, but has had a very good showing this tournament, making it all the way to the semi-finals. Azer is going to move on to play against Rupersian, who just took out Pink Eye Fan. That matchup is going to be so good. I cannot wait to see Azer versus Rupersian. And our next match is going to be tomorrow at 19 UTC. It's going to be Zex versus Non-Cycle, another losers bracket match. And then we're going to have a whole bunch more matches from 21 to 23, finally ending at 0 UTC with Sparkly Fair 200 versus One Dario in the winners bracket.
Yeah, a lot of interesting matches happening tomorrow. But that's going to do it here for this late night match. Thank you so much, iFlame, for joining me on Casting Bench, as well as James for the stream. I didn't see who was reffing, but thank you so much to our ref for making this one run smooth as always. And yeah, come back around tomorrow, guys. 19 UTC is when it first kicks off, and then a couple more after that. So thanks so much, everybody, for watching, and take care.
Take care.